Cosma and Damian were twin brothers born in Arabia in the late 3rd century. Not much is known about their lives until they became physicians. They were known for treating all who were injured or sick and accepting no payment for their services. At the beginning of the Diocletian persecution, Cosma and Damian were arrested and ordered to renounce Christianity. When they refused, they were remanded to torture. However, a miracle occurred and the brothers received no injuries from the torture. They were sentenced to death and beheaded on September 27th in the year 287. Their remains were buried in the city of Cyrus in Syria, where they still currently remain. Emperor Justinian I, who reigned from 527 to 565, having been cured of a serious illness through the intercession of Saints Cosma and Damian, restored their church in Constantinople. This basilica you are now in is the Basilica of St. Cosma and Damian in Rome. The building was originally the Library of Peace and was part of the Roman Imperial Forum. The property was gifted to Pope Felix IV in 526 by King Theodoric and his daughter Amalasuntha, rulers of the Ostrogoths. This is one of the earliest Roman buildings to be converted into a Christian church and the first in the Roman Imperial Forum. As you enter the basilica, look to your right and down to see the remains of the Temple of Romulus. This is a Roman temple celebrating Valerius Romulus, who reigned from 295 to 309, son of the Emperor Maxentius. If you now turn around, you will see the triumphal arch and apse mosaic of the basilica. These are the only remaining pieces from the original basilica created by Pope Felix IV, who was pope from the year 526 to 530. I will be focusing on the apse mosaic in this video. As we walk closer, you can see that, in this composition, Jesus stands in the center with 3 figures flanking him on either side, along with 2 palm trees and 13 sheep below. Let's start with the top register with Christ descending from heaven for his second coming. He is standing on clouds of a fiery red and orange with a deep blue background. He is dressed in a Roman toga and pallium, with his left hand raised and the scroll of law in his right. All of these elements signify him as a learned man. Christ is flanked on either side by Saints Paul and Peter, presenting Saints Cosma and Damian to Christ. Each of the martyrs, Cosma and Damian, hold a crown. These are the crowns of martyrdom that they are presenting to Christ. As we move outward to the next set of figures, on the left is Pope Felix IV. He holds a model of this basilica that he has dedicated to Saints Cosma and Damian in hopes of an afterlife in paradise. If we look to either side of him, there are palm trees. These are symbols of paradise. And in the tree on the left, at the top, there is a phoenix, the symbol of immortality. The figure on the far right is Saint Theodore, who was a Roman soldier and saint, well known in Rome. To best view the lower register, move to one side of the altar in order to see all of the figures. There are 6 sheep flanking either side of a central lamb with a halo. These sheep represent the 12 apostles, and Christ is represented by the Lamb of God at the center. Below the central sheep in the lower register is a small summit with the 4 rivers of paradise flowing from underneath, again keeping with the theme of paradise as I discussed earlier. Christ being depicted as the Lamb of God is commonly used in early Christian iconography. This basilica is important because it was very influential in how apse mosaics were composed, especially in basilicas dedicated to saints. Pope Paschal I, who was pope from the year 817 to 824, reigned during the forefront of the Carolingian Renaissance, begun by Emperor Charlemagne, who reigned from 742 to 814. During this revival, or Renaissance, both Charlemagne and Paschal desired to return to theological roots and artistic foundations of early Christianity. Thus, Pope Paschal I, in his construction of basilicas such as Santa Prassede and Santa Cecilia in Trastevere, borrowed imagery from early Christian basilicas in order to create a link between early Christianity to the current Christianity of the 9th century. If we compare the mosaics in the apses of Santa Prassede and Santa Cecilia in Trastevere with the apse of St. Cosma and Damian, there is a correlation in the compositions. In the apse of Santa Prassede, Christ is in the center with the saints Peter and Paul presenting two sister saints, Prassede and Pudenziana, to Christ, just like we see with the two doctor saints, Cosma and Damian. In the apse of Santa Cecilia, Christ again appears in the center with Saints Peter and Paul, this time presenting two saints on the left, Cecilia and Pope Pascal I, and two saints on the right, Valerian and Saint Agnes. In addition, there is the same blue background with fiery red and orange clouds on which Christ stands. However, the remains of Saints Cosma and Damian are not in their basilica in Rome, unlike the remains of Santa Prassede and Santa Cecilia, which are in the churches dedicated to them. If you wish to know more on this topic, here are some sources on this basilica.